Thanks to Dr. Srinivas and Samuel to actually invite me here. One thing is, the stage is all set by the last two speakers. We really gave a beautiful scenario of how India is all about, and the other person spoke about some of the small experiments that they have done, how exactly you can actually do the water resource management efficiently, so on and so forth. The mine was actually something similar to that, but people in the last speaker, maybe I'll try to restrict myself with the overall gist of what exactly I would like to discuss upon, or literally emphasize and specifically say upon this particular thing. So ultimately, basically, I'm going to actually speak about what exactly is the importance of a systems approach to generally per se any given water resource planning problem. So ultimately addressing the water resource issue in some particular sense, basically me being a water resource engineer. So when you go down to the planning aspect, if you really use some of the recently coming quantum computing tools, what we generally say, per se the optimization, or if you use some fuzzy approach, and how exactly if you kind of efficiently model what actually is there on the ground, and through that particular source, if you try to somehow improvise the existing thing mechanism, and mathematically it has been quite proven also, like how exactly we can get some solutions to the existing problems that are actually there on this ground. So that is what ultimately my presentation will revolve around. And literally some of the major things that I am currently working upon is the use of some of the new optimization algorithms that we normally call as, which is inspired from the nature's way of solving its own problems, which we normally call as nature-inspired optimization algorithms. And ultimately, if you say with respect to sustainability, my general understanding is we obviously have to meet the demands of the current day without disturbing what is required for tomorrow. So that ultimately, in some sense, according to me, is the general understanding of sustainability. So like assuming that whatever is expected or required for tomorrow still remains, and simultaneously we keep on meeting the current demands as well. So already Professor Srinivas has given in some form, we have put it in a different form. In the global scenarios we actually see. So by and large, if you take the overall water resource that is actually available, literally 97.5 precisely, if you say, is all in form of oceans, and if you get only fresh water, approximately around 2.5%. So if you still more further go down to the 3% of the overall global fresh water, or precisely if you say 2.5% whatever we have. So the accessible surface fresh water is roughly once again around 1%. And once again, with all those things, the distribution of all the remaining things with respect to lakes or the soil moisture, or with respect to the evaporation and so on and so forth, is the general distribution overall here, right? So in that sense, we are not accounting. It's just the availability of the fresh water. We are not right now going on how exactly we have polluted even the 1% of fresh water what we have, and what are all the other means through which it's all not available for us, man-made ways of not getting available for us, so on and so forth, is not being discussed right now. And one of the major areas with respect to the water sources, if you see, with respect to the water uses by and large, if you see the developed countries or the developing countries, the majority of the water that normally is being used is for irrigation. The fresh water that is normally being used, it varies around 70 to 80% of the total water that is there. The next higher percentage of water that is normally being used is for industry. So depending upon the developed countries and developing countries, the percentage of water that is normally being used by the industry also varies. So one of my main focus with respect to this particular case is the water that is normally being used for irrigation. So even if some impact if we can make through some kind of a systems approach, right? So obviously we have very clearly understood like the pressure on the requirement of water resources obviously is growing because of the enormous exponential growth of the population, and ultimately it requires the food production needs and the rapid urbanization. All these are actually adding to the complexities of the water resources utilization and ultimately planning and management. So it's definitely a very urgent task, and so we have seen some of the sample examples that we have seen. So you cannot for sure say that it is only a specifically per se an engineer's problem. So you need to actually see this in a different perspective. Ultimately, you can say it's an interdisciplinary approach that is actually required. So systems approach, ultimately what we actually try to do is we try to understand how exactly are the issues that are actually there on the ground. So for example, if you take per se a given reservoir or dam, if it is planned for a given purpose, how exactly it is being planned and how exactly it is implemented. So what are all the lacking? So when we try to kind of simulate that kind of environment, what exactly is there on the ground, when we try to write them in the form of some kind of equations, that's what we term it as some kind of a mathematical model. And when we solve them and when we get some particular solutions for the existing scenario, the existing model in which actually it is available currently. So definitely we did see, we have taken some case studies of different reservoirs, and we did see there is an impact on how actually you can save a lot of water, and ultimately the optimal, the land allocation or water allocation can be achieved through these kind of systems approaches. And one of the major thing, so obviously the complexity involved is very much. So as some of them have given different ways how exactly it has to be seen. Like one way is you have to see in terms of different kind of problem patterns, and ultimately you cannot, and once again undermine the planners also in the picture. Like by and large, ultimately all these particular tools will be one of the major supporting tools for the decision makers when they come down with taking any specific decisions on whether this project is required and how exactly you need to go on doing this, what will be the ultimate water. If you don't have this much of water resources, how exactly it's going to impact on the requirement of the water for that, or what should be the capacity of a given dam, and how much, what kinds of crops needs to be grown per se in a given command area, whether some crop rotation is required, so on and so forth. Like all these things will have impact. Ultimately, if you see one sense, like a lot of water is equally being wasted with respect to open channels, what we have as well. So roughly, if you say the conveyance efficiency of the existing open channels that we have is only 50%. So there also equally, if you say like already he has given the figures on how much is that the water that is available and how much we need to do the irrigation on the given command areas through whatever the large dams are actually covering, so on and so forth. So ultimately these all have given the emergence of some new kind of algorithms which we normally term it as nature-inspired algorithms. So which has been derived from the biological way of how exactly nature solves its own problems. So why? Because is ultimately when we model a given problem which is there on the ground, so we see this slightly on the engineer's perspective of a non-linear problem. So when we see this, very basically if you see this particular problem, so when we go down a little more into the modeling aspect, so we convert a given problem into some kind of a curve. If you see, actually this is how it would look like. So for example, if you want to by and large maximize the overall benefits that we are actually wanting to from a given project, so definitely this is very much required. We need to save, or we need to efficiently use the water that is available, because that's a very scarce resource. Equally, we have seen about the other major thing is about the land. So the optimal land and water allocation becomes one of the major aspects, keeping in mind all the existing constraints that are actually there on the field. For example, what are all the different pipes that are actually available? So per se, if you say a command area with respect to planning, the CAT would have already told this much percentage of crops is the normal thing that should be grown in this particular area. And what will be the normal yield of a given crop? And we'll equally go into how exactly the potential of conservation would be there for the particular region based on the meteorological data that is actually available. So we calculate how much water is required for a given crop in that particular command area. We do a little more realistic way of getting, say, this much water is required for, say, this particular area. So if you do it a little more scientifically on how do you distribute this particular water, though I do understand there are some practical difficulties with respect to the operational aspect of these particular aspects. Definitely without the support of, and we assume that when we are the planners or managers side, that these are all going to be managed and operated at some level in an appropriate way. Even though if you say it's 40% efficient or 50% efficient, Definitely when you go down to the planning stage, so what was actually envisaged and what is currently there in the existing scenario, definitely we did see that the systems approach is going to give us a very efficient way of handling these particular problems and giving us better way of saving water and land. So that is what ultimately our main aim was. So we do have a lot of classical algorithms that are actually trying to solve and give problems which earlier they were actually doing when they really solve. They do come out with some benefit cost analysis, so on and so forth, right? So other than that, we have the nature's way of solving its own problem, as I said. So we do have, for example, if you are very well known Darwinian survival of fittest, right? So something similar to that, nature has its own way of solving problems on so many aspects. Maybe I'll give you an example of some different ways. For example, if you take this ant colony optimization. So if you see that, generally if you observe how exactly the ants do go and search the food for them, they do follow some kind of uniform pattern. Normally if you see, the ants actually follow a specific path. All these ants will go in a particular row, and ultimately at the end, if you see, they will be reaching their food. By and large, if you see where exactly they were and how do they reach that particular food, you can see that they have actually taken an optimal path, or some level the shortest path, to reach that food. And we did mimic some of these characteristics, and we came out with some algorithms so that if we solve the existing mathematical models that we try to do that, we could definitely see with this system approach, we could save a lot of water, and equally we could efficiently use the land use in a better way. So we have actually seen the existing data, whatever is available in the project reports, and we did an optimization model of various kinds of reservoir problems, and we could see that there is an impact and there is an increase on these things. So we have gone down and discussed with some of the engineers as well on, and we could actually operate the reservoir in a slightly different way. As an outcome of these particular models, it would have a good impact on the improvisation of the overall benefits that's actually envisaged out of this particular project. So that's what ultimately is all about these particular things. So equally, not just the reservoir optimization, we could actually go well with varied problems with respect to the water sources, maybe something with respect to the water distribution network design. Like right now we are seeing some of the water distribution, we cannot keep on doing them often. If we efficiently design them at the planning stage also, so we can really go for some watershed management or groundwater monitoring and remediation design, so on and so forth. We can use all these systems approach and have a better way of solving the existing problems which are there. Is another way of tackling these problems and giving solutions for the present day scenario of the scarcity of water. So ultimately, to conclude, what I would say is the future of the water management. So ultimately it lies with various stakeholders, and definitely you cannot undermine the participatory irrigation management approach, without which you cannot move forward in today's scenario. That is for sure, because if we have a given idea, we need to go down to the people, and at some level we need to convince them that this is definitely going to improvise how exactly we are going to tackle all these particular issues. We are going to give you a better solution than what it is there. If they don't actually believe in whatever system we are proposing, it's going to be very difficult for us to implement on the ground as well. So equally, like when we say all these things, like we did speak to some of the existing engineers also on these systems approaches. We do modeling, and we can use some of the tools and do them. So many of the engineers even today, they still feel that these are all not up to our level right now. It's only still developing with respect to Indian scenario, and though maybe at some level in the planning stage it is happening, when we go down to the field engineers and discuss with them, because we need help on how we have modeled. If we need to improvise the model, we really need their inputs on whether I have replicated the actual scenario of the field into my mathematical model. Because if my model is not going to replicate what exactly is there on the field, it might not give me the correct results. So we still need to kind of train the existing engineers who are actually there, so that these all tools can really work, at least to some extent, some wonders for the decision makers with respect to saving water. Okay. So in brief, that is what I would say, and one small gist of what it is the nature-inspired optimization algorithms, which is a very, very young field, and we are actually trying a lot of research into all these things, whether it can have a good impact on all these things when we go on the larger scale. it is definitely going to be fruitful, and we have really seen some successful applications. So to close down with, what I would say is the past scenario of the water resource management was very bright because we didn't have much of issues, if you see the statistics as well. But the present day scenario is definitely challenging, but you can say equally it is very promising also, as a lot of research is going on in various disciplines, and with an interdisciplinary approach, I am sure that we can work together to save water for our children. Thank you. So I will be happy to have some questions.
Basic question.
Yeah, please.
It's probably actually completely uninformed. But if you're looking at nature-inspired optimization model, now each of these models has been worked out in some ways for an extremely specific issue.
Yes.
That is, this optimization, we are looking at optimization in a very general sense.
Correct.
In a theoretical sense.
Yes.
But the optimization of, let's say, ant farms or flock, what you're calling
Yes, bird flocking, many things are there.
Each of these is actually not optimization.
No, that is.
So if I have to think, for instance, of what may be an algorithm that works for, say, scared doves, not banging into each other when there's a predator threat.
Okay.
There's a group of doves eating over here, something else, they all get up and go, but they don't bang into each other for some reason or the other. Now this mechanism, for instance, if I, like you're looking at the logic behind this,
Yes.
to implement it into how
To solve a given problem.
how we are thinking about the reservoir system, or any water it may be. Right?
Okay.
But it's not this problem. So just this, I have no idea in some senses as to how this works, but just on a logical basis I'm asking. Suppose we were to take this problem of the pigeons, right?
Yes.
And implement it on ants, right? Would the optimization be, so has this been done to see whether the way in which ants are optimizing their trajectories, you get one kind of an algorithm out of it,
Yes.
right? Which you are calling optimal, and you get another kind of an algorithm out of the
Maybe ultimately there are two questions from what you actually asked. The first thing is these all algorithms, whatever we are actually deriving out of all these way how nature is solving its own problem is entirely a separate method. And the problem what we are actually looking on, it can be any given problem per se. And right now our focus right now what we are seeing is, if you need to have a water resource problem, we have actually formulated a model. And we do a small analysis with whatever data we have, and the solving is done by any given optimization method. And one of the optimization methods that is actually used is based on how exactly nature is solving problem is whatever we have actually discussed. So that is seen as only a tool, like for example a particle swarm or whatever, or honeybee or something like that. The second part of whatever you said, is it like can we interlink two different ways of approaches, and can we come out with a better algorithm is what you're asking, is what my understanding is about the second part of it.
But that is also interesting.
We are actually doing some research on that. We have linked some of the approaches with respect to all those things also. We have combined two different ways of approaches also, and we have come out with some algorithms. And in some cases they have turned out to be good. In some cases, maybe the other algorithms have turned out to be good. It is still a very young field, so a lot of research is still going on, and definitely this is one of the aspects which is being looked into and it's being tried. Yes. Like right now I am actually working on Nagarjuna Sagar project. So I have actually taken the entire data related to Nagarjuna Sagar project and have actually modeled them. And we are actually modeling we are actually doing the optimal water and land allocation. The command area is there. We have got the input data, what are all the crop that will be there, and what are all the cropping intensities. And we'll have the requirement of the storages of all these things, what are the inflow values we'll be having. So we do, and we'll actually kind of use the objective function of maximizing the net benefits, and equally hydropower is also there. We maximize the hydropower also, so that we can do a better reservoir operation releases so that we can get very good benefits out of the project instead of the current way of it being operated.
That is one project.
Yes, we have done it for some 3-4 projects.
Suppose you have a command.
Multiple reservoirs.
Series of reservoirs.
Yes, that is also there. That also we have.
The reservoir A and C together.
Yes, yes. We have a multiple reservoir system also. We have a lot of research that's done in that itself.
Standard model is there or you develop model?
No, means the basic thing by and large will be similar, but ultimately we need to go down and understand how exactly it works, and then yes, we have to separately formulate a model for every unique case study.
So remote sensing technology can be used.
Yes, yes, definitely. That is also one of the things. It's all going to help you in a better way, more accurate way. For example, if you get the above transpiration, so you can find out the groundwater requirement with the help of GIS as well. That is one way of using it. Depending upon what is the exact utility and when you need to use all those particular tools, if you are very clear, you can very efficiently use all of them to save all these scarce resources at some way. Definitely some, it may not be a very high percentage, definitely a 4-5% of the overall percentage would have a very good impact on a single project.
It's a huge amount.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nature inspired means the nature minus human beings. Minus human beings. Whether human beings are not your inspiration, or solving problems.
We are still searching for it.
Human beings create problems.
Sorry?
Human beings always create problems.
And find solutions.
Because it is about human behavior, nature behavior.
Yes.
Humans also solve problems like auto drivers go to any street end. They organize themselves in a group, put a chart, and they decide who to first come and first serve. They have a very good system of management.
Yes.
They don't fight for long. Only 1 or 2 days only fighting with them. After that, they will in the system. Nobody
Yes,
has
yes.
prevailed. So it
If
is
somewhere if it's an uniform pattern, you can try mimicking them and find out the
humans also
numbers.
are analyzers and then managers.
We didn't find a uniform pattern in these cases. It is all localized, it's varying at every single place in a different way. That's what we could
It's a
say.
very interesting area actually. You have to work with the other departments.
Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff because if you ask me about ants, what do you think as a cost benefit analysis, right, in terms of using, let's say, units
Yeah.
to find the most optimal way to go from here and there, and what you would think of as the loss of a unit, the cost of a loss of a unit.
Yes.
Within an ant efficiency system, the cost of a loss of a unit will be very, very small because the social organization of the ant itself will not put weight on that. But within any other kind of an optimization system, the cost of a loss of a unit will be very high
Correct.
for
Yes,
an
yes, yes.
army or whatever else it is. And it will be a completely different from a social point of
The
view.
perspective, yes.
When birds are flying, where there's a kind of equitability in some ways to all birds not banging into each other so that we all can escape a predator
Yes.
in a game theoretical model. Would be very difficult, different from the theoretical model of the ant itself.
Yeah.
So when you are speaking of, I'm just saying
Yes,
from
yes.
social science point of view, when you're speaking of optimization, you're speaking of optimization as a neutral word. That is, there is efficiency can only be increased, right, in along one linearity. That is, we are now at 6% efficiency, so we will move to 22% efficiency.
Definitely.
So there's a linearity.
Yes.
But when we are working with, let's say, something like a resource, a natural resource, the linearity of efficiency becomes very complicated. Because what we are calling efficient, right, is actually being marked not on a linear fashion, but actually in a
Multiple factors,
multidimensional
yes.
fashion.
Exactly.
So it becomes,
That's where really the complexity comes in.
exactly, so it becomes a little, optimization then is not a value neutral word.
The most challenging aspect here is modeling that particular given problem.
Exactly.
That's where the real challenge lies. If you could do that very close to what it is there, you can definitely give wonderful numbers to the decision makers.
We have in international relations a war strategist,
Okay.
and he was brought a model and said that this was the model of the previous war and this is the way in which it works. So he told that general
Yes, optimization they have used.
Absolutely. He told me that when you get me a model that actually reflects the last war, it will be the last war. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So there is that. It's a structural problem.
Yeah. How will your enemy attack if you find out?
No, sir.
No, that's also another way of seeing it.
No, this in our business, this is a game theoretical model that
Yes.
is completely not being.
Okay, fine, thank you.
It's extremely difficult to be the last speaker, but I put it off very well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vasan, for trying to stick to the time limit. So we had a very wonderful session about water and environment with 4 speakers presenting 4 different types of presentations. Professor Srinivas spoke about urban water bodies and the need to look into issues of encroachment and costs of this encroachment and how this is affecting the groundwater level and what we call vanishing urban commons, this thing. And then N.K. Srinivas sir has spoken about a general perspective about water bodies in the country and how to actually increase the efficiency rates and consequently, while also looking at the future prospects or the dangers of utilizing or over-exploiting water resources or not developing water resources in an efficient manner as well. And then Ramamohan sir has spoken about the micro-level experiments, how they have helped quench or what you call feed the people not having proper food or accessibility to food. So one interesting thing that you have to see is when it came about when the question was asked about why it is not such a successful model. Okay. So when you reach an optimization level of or optimum level of getting a result from what we call using certain inputs and getting results as such in terms of productivity and all. So trying to go for organic farming or nature, sustainable models and all, you find a lot of difficulty there. So in fact, Sri is one of the major reasons for its limited success is because of this thing. In fact, irrigation, this has been practiced mostly in irrigated areas, and most of the time farmers are looking for optimization of benefits, how to improve your profits. Nobody is that much worried about sustainability or things like that. So if a new experiment is coming up or if a new model of farming and all is there, so how much I can benefit from it is there. So in that sense, Sri may not have actually worked, but then obviously when he was mentioning about farmers in Orissa, how they were able to meet their food needs and all compared to before Sri cultivation and this thing. So probably in virgin tracts and where penetration of pesticides and this thing is limited, so these nature models will definitely succeed. And then Vasan was talking about the technical aspects of modeling and all that, which was again giving the perspective of how an engineer will try to look into problems and find solutions to this thing. So basically, our idea of involving people from different fields like an engineer or a practitioner and an academician, so is well reflected in this specific panel, how each of them is looking at the issues and how they are trying to find solutions for this thing. Although the audience is not very encouraging for the speakers, they have showed a lot of interest in sharing their findings, and I thank all of them. I request Shamil to give a small token of our appreciation for coming all the way to campus and sharing your valuable time. Shamir.
Thank you so much. You can do your. We don't usually do this, but we have one young scholar here who has been with us throughout the session, who has engaged with each and every speaker, who has enriched the discussion, and we would just like to give him a small token of appreciation for staying through this. So, with Srinivas Sajja, please give Mr. Thorat a small token of our appreciation. Thank you. I'd like to quickly end this conference with a small note of thanks to many people. Firstly, of course, the Department of Civil Engineering and the Center for Excellence in Water Resource Management, who have put together many parts of this conference and who have, of course, participated on this panel. I would like to thank the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences for all the effort they put in, for the patience, and for the moral support, which was completely invaluable. We would not have been able to do anything in this conference without the support of the students who helped us organize it, set up the desks, do the recordings, basically who were the backbone of this entire seminar. And of course, it goes without saying that the General Administration Department, the Maintenance Department, were crucial in helping us do this, especially Mr. Balaswamy, who runs this seminar hall. Thank you so much, everybody.